Every few years, I like to rank all of the Call of Duty titles, and this is one of the most requested topics I get in the comment section almost every single video. And for the last few weeks, there's been a push in my community to get me to once again rank every single Call of Duty game from worst to the best. And you know what? Today's the day, my friends. What is up, non-AI? Jimmy here, back with another non-AI ranking video, and today you're getting what you wanted. You're getting what you asked for. Today, I'm going to give you my complete ranking of every single Call of Duty game from the worst to the best. But first, a couple ground rules that I need to set with you guys. I will not be ranking COD 1 through 3, since those don't really count in the current COD formula, and I'm also not going to be counting COD Online, since it was shut down before I could really get into it. I'm also going to be splitting Blackout and Black Ops 4 into two different entries, since they're so different from one another. If that sounds fair to you guys, and you like the rules, and you agree to them, here we go. The moment that a few people have been waiting for. Let's rank every single COD experience according to Jimmy. There's gonna be some debates about this. Drop a like, make sure you guys are subscribed as always. Dead last, number 22 on my list. I'll give you three guesses. If you know me, you probably already guessed it. Vanguard. I remember getting to see this game early, really early. I was actually pretty positive about it, but once I got my hands on the complete package, I could not have fun with the game. The multiplayer felt like Modern Warfare 2019, but with more ridiculous aspects to it. And as someone who really likes authentic World War II video games, Vanguard, it was way too over the top, and it was way too history bending with the guns for me. Frankly, I don't have a lot to say about the game, because it was the first time in COD history where I just couldn't have any fun with the game. I really didn't like Modern Warfare 2019. You'll see soon enough in the ranking. In Vanguard, it felt like a reskin of that with some really inauthentic World War II stuff. I mean, I know some of you were about this game, and for that, I'm sorry. But for me, it's the worst Call of Duty game in history. At number 21, Modern Warfare 2019. I told you I didn't like this game. Now, the presentation, top-notch. Campaign, solid. Some of the best-looking missions ever. Basically, everything else about the game was terrible in my eyes. The multiplayer, I mean, it made so many fundamental changes to the COD formula, and all of the changes were bad ones. It led me to being one of many players who just quit the game entirely about a month in. The map design, we already know, way too campy. Mini-map changes, terrible. Doors everywhere. Time to kill, too quick. Doors again, stupid. Skill-based matchmaking, way too sweaty. I could go on and on about this game. I could crap on this game all day, but I've done that 50,000 times on the channel, so I'm not going to. Again, the campaign, shining light. Great. Visuals, sound design, amazing. But the actual gameplay, it was just bad. The multiplayer was one of the worst in COD history to me. And the third mode, that Spec Ops mode, whatever they called that, didn't even work right. So yeah, one of the worst CODs ever in my eyes. At number 20, Modern Warfare 2 2022. There was some very small improvements over Modern Warfare 2019, but then there was some massive downgrades. So I could go either way on the ranking of these two. We could flip them back and forth because on one hand, Modern Warfare 2 had slightly better multiplayer due to the fact that the maps were just a little better and the visibility was improved. In the third mode, it was definitely better this time around. But then on the other hand, the campaign, it was a downgrade in Modern Warfare 2. The multiplayer had a lot of new problems. You had that terrible perk system. You had the horrendous changes to Dead Silence. And I also felt like the graphics, they were actually slightly worse than they were in Modern Warfare 2019, which makes no sense. So yeah, MW19 and MW2, basically on the same level of bad for me. I could really go either way, 20, 21, either way, doesn't matter to me. At number 19, Black Ops 6. This game it's been so up and down for me. You probably remember that this was the first COD game in years that I was actively grinding and trying to put my spare time into playing and enjoying it, but it was also a game that I lost faith in just a month or two after bad update and horrible balance patches. And then the content droughts, I mean, they were there. And then the crazy crossover skins came into play. And then the ridiculous sweaty movement players took over. I tapped out. It was a shame because I did like the game at first. I thought this was going to be a great year for COD. But Treyarch fumbled the post-launch support so hard that it ended up pushing me far, far away. I mean, I know I'm not the only one that happened to. So hopefully they learned those lessons with Black Ops 7. But to me, Black Ops 6, just a big disappointment. Started out great, then got progressively worse over time in a way that I've never seen happen with any other Call of Duty game. Frankly, I think this is the first and only time in COD history that a mainline game actually got worse with updates instead of better. At number 18, COD World War II. Now, I got in a lot of trouble with the COD community back in 2017 when the game came out. And I was not on the hype train at all. In fact, I was not on the hype train so much that I jumped ship to Fortnite, which was very new at the time, and it was a huge risk for me and the channel. The Call of Duty World War II felt like such a betrayal to me, I couldn't do it. Leading up to launch, I was excited. I was ready for Call of Duty to be boots on the ground again. I was excited for a new game set in the 40s, and I was ready for Sledgehammer to show us what they were made of. But then launch day rolled around. I felt like I got slapped in the face multiple times. First of all, it literally didn't work for a week. Second of all, there was no content in this game. Third of all, there were so many unnecessary changes to the multiplayer customization. You had divisions, basic trainings, the removal of wild cards, all of that. And on top of that, the campaign and zombies, they were okay. So it's not like they were going to make up for the disappointment that I felt about the multiplayer. I know the game got better with time, and it really did get better, but for me personally, I felt betrayed. I never went back. At number 17, Modern Warfare 3 2023. Okay, before you roast me in the comments, at least let me say that I can appreciate what Sledgehammer did here. I absolutely respect what they were able to create out of an impossible situation. They were tasked with making an expansion pack of Modern Warfare 2, and then suddenly, they were told to turn it into a full game. And it was a game that nobody wanted. The odds were so impossibly stacked against them, it was honestly amazing that it turned out so well. Out of all the new Modern Warfare games, MW3 is hands down the best, and I can appreciate that Sledgehammer basically turned this game into a love letter to all of Modern Warfare. Lots of maps, gun remakes, both from the original trilogy and the reboot saga, as well as a ton of really good original maps and weapons. But here's the thing, I just don't enjoy this gameplay. The new Modern Warfare multiplayer gameplay formula is not for me. I really didn't get much enjoyment out of the campaign because, let's be real, the campaign was kind of bad. So you guys can have fun with this game. It's just not my cup of tea. I do see why people like it so much. It's just not for me. At number 16, Modern Warfare Remastered. Probably going to be shocked at how high I place COD 4 on this list, but we'll get there. Because quite honestly, Modern Warfare Remastered started out as a perfectly solid recreation of COD 4, and in some ways, it stayed that way. But in other ways, it completely ruined the original. I can't forgive it. The addition of supply drops and DLC weapons destroyed my desire to play this game, and the M16 spam online, I mean, once again, tap out. I know, the M16 was just as broken in the original as it was in MWR, but the difference was your connection. The improved connection in MWR, it made the M16 way easier to use, which meant it was the only gun that people were equipping, and that destroyed the variety of the original. And that was before Activision shoved DLC guns into the mix, so I was excited for MWR when it was announced. But the way it was bundled with Infinite Warfare, come on, it pissed off everybody. And then I finally got my hands on it. I got a little bit of enjoyment before the sweaty M16 spammers and supply drops put a nail in the coffin for me. So yeah, I love COD 4, but I really do not like Modern Warfare Remastered. Maybe a hot take for this, but it's, once again, my list, my ranking. Number 15, Infinite Warfare. Yes, I'm ranking Infinite Warfare above Modern Warfare Remastered because you know what? At least Infinite Warfare didn't try to add supply drops to the game that I used to love. And you know what? Infinite Warfare had a top 3 campaign. Fight me about it. I don't care. That has to be worth something. And you know what else? The Zombies mode? Underrated. Fun. Not super replayable, but definitely fun the first time around. But when it comes to the multiplayer, which is supposed to be the bread and butter of a COD game, movement and map design didn't click for me. MV4 spam, unreal. Zero variety in this multiplayer. And it also did not help that during the first month or so, people were just pretty regularly finding out-of-map glitches and exploits that spread like wildfire. Now, I can appreciate things in Infinite Warfare did right, but for me, this is a campaign-only game. The Zombies was cool, but it didn't hold my attention. Multiplayer? I didn't care. I don't think it's even close to being the worst COD game of all time. It's definitely one of the COD games I've put the least hours into. I'm not sure I even hit the first prestige in the game, to be honest with you. And I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again. We went to beta test this game, right? I remember sitting with Drifter, Prestige, and T-Martin. And we're about to play, and the developers come out, and I equipped the black hole grenade. And we're like, what is this? And then we play that map, Frontier maybe, where there's gravity and the bodies are flying or floating around. And I threw it, and everybody got sucked into it. And me and the guys are looking at each other like, what in the world is this? Is this Call of Duty? And the developers around us are beyond excited. They're like, oh my God, they're doing it. This is fantastic. They had zero clue how out there and how outlandish that the game would end up being. They were about it. They were all in on it. And I remember us looking at each other like, this is going to be a long year. At number 14, Black Ops Cold War. First, let me say, the campaign of Black Ops Cold War is fantastic. It's only a few hours long, but it is one of the better campaigns of the last decade. Second, let me say, It's a miracle this game exists at all given the insane time constraints that Treyarch was working with during development. The fact that this game even booted on launch day, I think that's impressive after learning about the development cycle, but with that established, the game wasn't really for me. I found the lack of multiplayer content to be kind of unforgivable for a full-price COD game, and the zombies mode barely worked on day one. And even after things started getting patched up, because that's the model, and new content was added, I'd already moved on to other games. I didn't feel a lot of desire to go back and play it any more than I already had. I appreciate the 80s theming, I do, and the campaign, once again, really good. But the multiplayer and zombies, just not very fun to me. And the skill-based matchmaking was some of the strictest it's ever been, which killed any possibility of me playing it casually. Now, it's probably the best COD game out of the original Warzone era, but I don't think that's saying a whole lot. At number 13, Black Ops 4. Remember, I'm not counting Blackout as part of the Black Ops 4 experience for the sake of this ranking because that was such a different experience than the core multiplayer and zombies. Now, obviously, since I haven't mentioned Blackout yet, I enjoyed it more than the base experience of Black Ops 4. But as for multiplayer and zombies aside, this was mid. The multiplayer was nice. It was a nice change of pace. There were some overly cheesy aspects of it that kept me from really getting invested. Zombies maps were fun, but I'd never really been a zombies-focused guy except for ranking Kino at the top, so there wasn't a ton of replay value in that mode for me. But when I think back on the Black Ops 4 era, I really just think of Blackout. That was the only aspect of the game that kept my attention, and some of you might be shocked at where you see I rank Blackout, but as for Black Ops 4, I think this is where it's going to sit. It wasn't bad, and I do see why people loved it, but the core experience just wasn't for me. At number 12, Call of Duty Ghosts. Now, I know a lot of people absolutely hated this game when it came out, and I cannot deny I was super critical of it too. But I have a few things to say about Ghosts that keep it from being ranked any lower on this list. First of all, this was an amazing time for competitive COD, and since I have a pretty rich history in the competitive COD scene with Team Caliber, I obviously have some intense nostalgia for the Ghost era. Second of all, the game may have sucked for casual play, but it was good for content. I was making so many Easter egg videos, and there was so much to talk about among community members. Who remembers Bigfoot? Who remembers Bigfoot? And third of all, Ghost still has some redeeming qualities like the party modes, the DLC season that gave us some unforgettable moments. You had the Predator map, you had the Michael Myers map on Fog, and there was a lot more. So no, I don't think Ghost was a good COD game, but I also don't think it should be ranked any lower than this, and I'm going to live on that hill. At number 11, Modern Warfare 2 2009. This will be a very super controversial placement, but I honestly wasn't the biggest fan of classic Modern Warfare 2, at least when compared to other COD games that are around the time now that I can look back at the bigger picture. I think it earned its place in gaming history. There's so many things that were iconic. But when it came to the actual gameplay, the multiplayer, I just preferred other FPS games and COD titles. When you compare Modern Warfare 2 to games like Black Ops and COD 4, Modern Warfare 2 is relying on explosives, kill streaks. The other Golden Age COD games, they were more about gunfights, smart positioning. There's a lot of cheese in classic Modern Warfare 2, and I do totally understand why so many people loved it. It set so many trends. I just preferred other grounded COD games. That being said, campaign, fantastic. Spec Op modes, awesome. Still a great game in its own right. Again, I know why so many people loved this game. It's just not as close to my heart as other games on this list are. And let's be real, this whole game launched broken. That was the appeal of it. At number 10, here we go. Warzone. Warzone dropped at the perfect time for me. A free-to-play battle royale that was totally separate from Modern Warfare 2019, wasn't Fortnite, released at a time when so many of us were locked in our houses with nothing to do. Warzone managed to be a great Call of Duty battle royale that was totally distinct from the previous COD BR, and also totally distinct from the other BRs on the market. You had custom loadout drops that rewarded you for playing smart, saving money instead of just running into every fight you could, and the original Verdansk map, it's one of the best BR maps I've ever played. Looking back on Warzone 2020, there was issues, of course. I think the quality of the game went up and down as the months went on, but I'm not going to deny that despite its flaws, I've got a lot of great memories with friends with Warzone, and even when the game wasn't at its best, I was having fun. I think it deserves a number 10 spot, but if you think it's a controversial pick, just wait till you hear what else I have to say about Call of Duty BRs. At number 9, Blackout. Yeah, here we are. I loved it. I had to give it its own spot on the ranking, and I had to rank it above Warzone because I had that much fun with this game. I thought Blackout was the better BR experience, and frankly, I think if Blackout was released on a standalone game outside Black Ops 4 for free, it would be alive today and Warzone would never exist. It was a much more stripped-down BR experience when compared to Warzone. Basically, it was PUBG, but rebuilt in the Black Ops 4 sandbox with much more fast-paced mapping, and you know what? It worked. Having areas of the map with zombies roaming around, that was a great way to tie into the Black Ops IP and reward you for taking the risk, since cleaning out the zombies would grant you a power weapon to carry into later parts of the game. Black Ops 4 lost me after a couple months, but I could go play Blackout as my only BR for an entire year and I wouldn't have gotten bored. I really, really hope that Activision does bring back Blackout like they're talking about, or a new version. At number 8, Call of Duty Mobile. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I like Call of Duty Mobile. I don't talk about it much because it's not technically a mainline COD game, so it's hard to fit into my usual top 20 videos, but the game itself, it's good. There is so much content at your fingertips, and it's all put together really good, so you can play for hours and hours and not get bored. Obviously, there's limitations that come with being a mobile game, and obviously, I still wish Activision would do some kind of console or PC port, or at least release a console and PC COD game that was similar in concept to COD Mobile, instead of continuing to do the full price games every year. Modern Warfare 4, are we kidding me? But that's probably not going to happen. If you like COD, and you don't mind playing on a phone screen, COD Mobile is a must. The sheer amount of content and nostalgia loaded in the game, it's pretty insane. It's underrated, so here's the love for you COD Mobile fans that are always asking me for it. At number 7, now we're getting into the top. World at War. To me, this is still the best World War II COD game by a landslide, and I know I'm not alone in that. World at War is almost 17 years old. Wow. Still has some of the best atmosphere in COD history, as well as one of the most memorable multiplayer experiences ever. The guns in this game, they were authentic. That often meant they were kind of handled like crap, but that was the appeal. The game was unapologetic about the time period. It never shied away from the brutality of the events it was portraying. The campaign, it was incredible. It officially introduced us to the Black Ops timeline, which also gave us one of the best World War II video games of all time. Multiplayer, top notch. Perfectly translating COD 4's multiplayer skeleton into the 1940s. You had good map design, you had unique weaponry. In the original Zombies mode, I mean, it's still some of the most fun I've had with friends in a co-op shooter, even if it's really simple by today's standards. Heck, I would even argue that World at War is one of the most replayable Zombies experiences in the entire franchise because of how straightforward it was. I loved World at War. I love it to this day. If you've never played it, I hope you can somehow. Just don't hold out hope for being able to find a non-hacked multiplayer lobby, but it is still worth it for the campaign and the zombies. At number 6, Call of Duty 4. This is where COD started for most of us. I know COD 1 through 3 were decent games in their own right. COD 4 changed the formula. It transformed the franchise into what we know now. And you know what? It still holds up. The campaign's the best, provides you with amazing action. You have this really well-written story with unforgettable characters. The multiplayer's super stripped down compared to other COD games, but it's also the Wild West of console multiplayer games at the time. COD 4, it was really well designed, even by today's standards. Yes, there's cheesy things, there's balancing oversights that wouldn't fly today, but the maps were great. The vibes of the game were some of the best in the era. I loved COD 4 back in the day. I still love it. I really think it held up, and I still prefer OG version to MWR, except for the graphics, of course, in the campaign. If I could keep the Modern Warfare Remastered campaign, but then the OG multiplayer, that is the perfect vision of COD 4 in my eyes. Now we arrive at the top 5. Are you ready to be shocked? Advanced Warfare. This is going to be my most controversial placement and moment on this entire list, because even though Advanced Warfare had so many problems, it's still one of my favorites in the franchise. I think its flaws often make people forget all the things it did right. Yes, supply drops were predatory, weapon variants were overpowered, and sure, Exo Survival was kind of lame. But the core gameplay of Advanced Warfare was so good I couldn't put it down. The game was smooth for the time, and the gunplay felt good. It was also just a really important game for me personally, given where I was in life at the time. COD was exploding on YouTube, and the competitive scene was wild, and I have some of my best memories making content during this era. So no, it was not a perfect game, not even close. And if I'm being totally objective here, it's probably not a top 5 COD. But I couldn't rank it any lower than 5 because of all the great memories I have. I could talk for hours about all the things it did wrong, but I could also talk for hours about all the things it did right and all the great times I had playing. And it had the best customization to this date in a Call of Duty game. So yeah, Advanced Warfare top 5. Come at me. And number 4, Black Ops 3. I was actually shocked at how much I like this game. I was playing the crap out of this game, and I still think it's the best game of the jetpack era. Treyarch basically took the framework of Black Ops 2, added jetpacks, and it worked. The multiplayer was addictive. The zombies was a little complicated, but still super fun, especially once they added Chronicles DLC. And even though the campaign was bad, it was terrible. It was just a ridiculous amount of content in the game on launch day. Who remembers the free run mode? Who remembers Nightmare mode? The multiplayer ended up hitting hard by the supply drop hammer, but I mean, that was disappointing, but it didn't matter. Still exciting to be a Call of Duty player. Who remembers boxing gloves and baseball bats and wrenches and the mannequin arm, Lefty? There was so much great content coming out in this game. It maintained a very healthy player base long after its life cycle, years. There's still people who play it right now. At number 3, Modern Warfare 3 2011. Sledgehammer and Infinity Ward, to me, cooked up something really special with this game. And if I had a nickel for every time Sledgehammer Games has come to help in Infinity Ward make a game called Modern Warfare 3, I'd have 2 nickels right now. It's not a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. In all seriousness, Classic MW3 is basically a huge thank you to you and me, the fans of the first 2 Modern Warfare games. It was designed to be that happy middle ground between COD 4 and MW2, and I think they killed it. The gameplay was the perfect middle ground between the methodical gunfights of COD 4 and the insane explosions of Modern Warfare 2. The map design was great. The campaign was probably the weakest of the original trilogy, but that's not bad. Spec Ops mode, best in COD history, especially thanks to the addition of survival mode. Plus, this was one of the best games in COD history when it comes to launch content. There was so much, absurd amount of content in the game on day one. There was even some free DLC added to the mix as well. Modern Warfare 3 was some of the most fun I've ever had with Call of Duty. Deserves to be top 3. This is where I first got to go on my first big trip, went to COD XP for Modern Warfare 3. Fantastic. I think they launched with 50-something guns on launch day. I mean, if you had it above top 3, I respect you. At number 2, Black Ops. If you've been watching my channel, you know this is my favorite game in the series, but I don't think it's the objective best, but it is my favorite. And you know what? It's really good. Campaign easily top 5 COD campaign. It's possibly even top 3. Multiplayer had some of the best maps and guns in the entire franchise, even if the FAMAS kind of ruined the balance. And zombies, come on. Zombies. It expanded upon the skeleton world at War Zombies mode without going too crazy with the additions. I adore this game. And there's so many things that gave it some of the best vibes and most memorable personality in the entire series. I could talk for hours about how much I love Black Ops 1, but like I said, there's one other game that was just better overall. And if you've been paying attention up to this point and you've been counting, you already know what it is. At number 1 today, Black Ops 2. This is the peak of COD for me. Black Ops 1 is my favorite game in the series. Black Ops 2 is the one I think is the objective best. Everything about this game was top tier. The zombies mode, amazing after a couple patches. Multiplayer, best in COD history in terms of balance and map design. Campaign, still one of the best we've ever gotten. I mean, I really don't know what there is to say about Black Ops 2 that hasn't already been said a million times by other people on YouTube, so I'll keep it short and sweet. Black Ops 2 is the peak of COD. I don't think that's ever going to change. I mean, pick 10. Treyarch did everything right. I guess you could say the one thing wrong with the game is the fact that the zombies mode wasn't amazing on launch day due to the whole transit system, but then Treyarch, they quickly remedied that. And there's plenty of people out there that insist transit was underrated anyway. So yeah, Black Ops 2 is the best Call of Duty of all time. Certain aspects of it have been surpassed, but when it comes to the complete package, this is the peak of COD. There you have it, my friends. Thanks for coming on the journey with me. Let me know if you agree or disagree. You're going to disagree. That's a pretty hot take list now that I look back at it, but it's true to me. Hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you soon.